What's going on, everybody? Halo Drama here yet again with another Magic the Gathering Commander video. This will be the second deck I'm covering. Hopefully you guys watched and hopefully enjoyed the deck showing that I did on Kami of the Crescent Moon. I really like that deck. Feel free to comment on those videos if you have any ideas or critiques or anything like that. That's all good. But this time I'm going to cover another one of my commander decks with Wilhelt the Rotcleaver. 2, a black, and a blue legendary creature, zombie warrior, 3/3. Whenever another zombie you control dies, if it didn't have Decayed, create a 2/2 black zombie creature token with Decayed. Excuse me. At the beginning of your end step, you may sacrifice a zombie. If you do, draw a card. I was drawn to this card because after I read it a couple times, I thought it was awesome for the fact that, say if you have a normal 2/2 zombie token, which is pretty much the most common zombie token, and it dies, you get a 2/2 back. Granted, Decayed zombies, if you don't know, any creature with Decayed can't block, and when it attacks, you have to sacrifice it at the end of combat. So that part kind of sucks, but the fact that you can basically, like I said, get rid of a 2/2 token to create a 2/2 token is awesome, especially with that last ability, so it can help you draw cards. You still get a token out of it. And obviously, if you have creature ETBs or even just specifically zombie ETBs, that will still work with that. There are no planeswalkers in this deck, so don't have to worry about covering that, so we'll just go straight into the creatures. Just like before with the Kami video, if you watched it, these cards aren't in any particular order. I just categorized them as far as creatures, enchantments, sorceries, instants, artifacts, and then the lands that I have in the deck. So each episode I make will cover a different category. I won't make it one long video because I just don't want to do that. Who wants to sit here and watch an entire hour or so video listening to somebody that they don't know? I'd rather break it up into sections. Hopefully, maybe you might want to just watch a certain section, which is completely fine with me. Anybody who watches any of my videos, I greatly appreciate it. And let's go ahead and get into it. I'm with the first creature that is on the top of my stack here. Remember, they're not in any particular order. Withered Wretch. A 2/2 zombie cleric that costs 2 black. You can pay 1 at instant speed, might add. Exile target card from a graveyard. Love this card because obviously you play all types of different people. Reanimate people. Shit, look at my Kami deck if you watch that video. There's a lot of cards in there that get instant sorceries out of the graveyard. This will stop that because the moment you target it, I can exile it. Straight graveyard hate card, because just for those pesky things that people try to bring back or anything like that, you guys get it. This card will stop that at the moment they target it. Okay, the next one. A card I've had for a very long time, and I still love it to this day. Noxious Ghoul. Oops, sorry about that. It's a cost 3 and 2 black. It's a 3/3 zombie, obviously. Oh, I meant to say obviously this is a zombie deck. But anyway, when Noxious Ghoul or another zombie enters the battlefield, all non-zombie creatures get -1/-1 until end of turn. I love that. Like I said, especially with the commander's mechanic, because even at minimum, if Noxious Ghoul is on the board and maybe you have a token or something like that, you can give all non-zombie creatures -2/-2 because you sacrifice, or the one enters -1/-1, then you sacrifice it, you get the Decayed zombie. That's another -1/-1. And I've had those stack up a lot. And needless to say, to the point where nobody had any creatures on the board but me, and I thought it was hilarious. My opponents, not so much. Next on the list, Fleshbag Marauder. I know a lot of people know this one. I know this one gets ran very heavily. And, why did I forget her name now? She's a Golgari commander, you get experience counters for everything that dies. I used to have that deck back in the day too, but now for some reason the name just eludes me. Of course, that's usually how it works when you're trying to remember something. But anyway, costs 2 in the black. It's a 3/1 zombie warrior. When Fleshbag Marauder enters the battlefield, each player sacrifices a creature. I love this to help keep control of the board. You know, especially if somebody has that one big dumbass creature on the board that's hexproof or has Shroud or he's even indestructible. Any of that nature. Fleshbag Marauder will take care of that. And the great thing about Fleshbag Marauder is that it's an ETB, so it's on the battlefield when that trigger happens, so you can sacrifice it. And needless to say, resurrect it a couple times when you need to. It's a zombie deck. You had to know that some of that was going to be in here. But next on the list, I have Tomb Tyrant. Costs 3 in the black, 3/3 zombie noble. Other zombie creatures you control get +1/+1, so it has that great lord effect. You can also pay 2 in the black. 2 in the black, tap it, sacrifice a creature, return a zombie creature card at random from your graveyard to the battlefield. Activate only during your turn, and only if there are at least 3 zombie creature cards in your graveyard. I feel like this has general good utility. I've had to get me stuff back that didn't really need before, but I've had to get me stuff back that I'm just like, hell yeah, that was the card I was hoping that I got. So, yeah, nice little recursion card for 3 mana and tap it. Yeah, it's nothing to sack those zombie tokens or even the decayed zombies. It's pretty much what they're there for. Alright, next. We have Headless Rider. I almost called it HR, but that's kind of corny. But anyway, costs 2. That's nice. Costs 2 in the black, so 3/1 zombie. Whenever Headless Rider or another non-token zombie you control dies, create a 2/2 black zombie creature token. And that's pretty cut and dry what that does. It happens a lot. And then the great thing, there's another one. Now, when your non-token zombies die, yeah, you get a zombie back. And then when the token dies, if my commander's on the board, you get another zombie back. Love that. Let's see. Next. Oops. Spelled that almost all the way wrong. Another Lord, and it's in his name. Praise the Lord. I'm just kidding. Let's not get into that. Lord of the Accursed, 2 and a black, 2/3 zombie. Other zombies you control get +1/+1. Another great Lord effect, but has pay 1 in the black. All zombies gain menace until end of turn. Now realize it says all zombies, so that's all zombies on the graveyard. A few weeks ago, was at some friends' houses. We played some Two-Headed Giant. You know how good a card like this would have been if both of us were in zombie decks? Yeah. That'd have been amazing. Shit, you can even help it if they choose to try to take out one of your opponents and somebody just happens to also be running a zombie deck. And then, yeah, they go to swing out on, one of your opponents. You can make it harder for them to block. Because now they have menace. They have to be blocked by 2. Oh, if somebody out there doesn't know what menace is, I'm sorry. Creature with menace can't be blocked except by 2 or more creatures. So needless to say, if you go at somebody with a horde, and these are zombies we're talking about, so you know there's going to end up being a lot of them. And yeah, you have to block them with 2 creatures. Needless to say, a lot of that's getting through. Pretty self-explanatory. And now we are on to the first creature. There's not very many, but there's the first creature in this deck that is not an actual zombie. And it is Grave Titan. That's not the art I have, but that is awesome. I have the original one. But costs 4 and 2 black. It's a 6/6 giant. It has Death Touch. Whenever Grave Titan enters the battlefield or attacks, create 2/2 black zombie creature tokens. Another one that speaks for itself. I think this card has been the shit since it came out. I've had it since then, and love this card. Yeah. Zombies. Enough said. Resurrected. Get 2 more zombies. Why not? Oh, and then the next is also creature in this deck that is not a zombie. Visceraseer. Costs 1 black, is a 1/1 vampire wizard. Add instant speed, sacrifice a creature, and you get to scry 1. Good way to, and not to mention, you can, if need be, you can sacrifice Visceraseer himself or herself. You can't assume nowadays. And you still get the scry. Can stop a lot of things from dying, because you can just, chump block before damage is, spread. Sacrifice it and scry 1 instead. Gotta watch out for this card though when Noxious Ghoul is on the board. If Noxious Ghoul is on the board, I'm not even playing this. Because if Noxious Ghoul hits the board, my whole goal is to just annihilate everybody else's creatures, and Visceraseer would just end up being a victim for no reason. But I'm not taking it out of the deck, because it's in here for a reason. And the next one, I know, probably a zombie staple for a lot of people. I can't say everybody. Diagraph Captain costs 1 in Dimir. Dimir is blue and black, by the way, if anybody didn't know. So 2/2 zombie soldier has Death Touch. Other zombie creatures you control get +1/+1. Another one of those great Lord effects. Whenever another zombie you control dies, target opponent loses 1 life. Pretty self-explanatory. Your zombies die, your zombies get sacrificed. In any way, shape, or form, goes good with Visceraseer. If I need to sack something to scry 1, somebody's losing a life. Yeah, Diagraph Captain, yeah, pretty cut and dry. Next. Oh, no, I must have spelled that wrong. It's not clever, you idiot. It's Cleaver. Read the cards, dude. Read the cards. Cleaver Scab. Costs 3 and a blue. Is a 2/4 zombie whore. And you can pay 3 and tap it, sacrifice another zombie, create 2 tokens that are copies of that sacrificed creature. Another one I feel like is pretty cut and dry, that's pretty awesome. Say you sacrifice Diagraph Captain. Now you get 2 copies of Diagraph Captain, so now when zombies die, somebody's losing 2 life. Or you can spread it out, 1 and 1. That's not very smart in my idea, or in my mind, I should say. I'm sorry, but nonetheless, it becomes awesome. And it doesn't say sacrifice a non-token zombie. So if this can make it back around to your turn, and there's a card in this deck I've done this with before. When we get to it, I'll mention it. But Diagraph Captain is a perfect example. When it gets back to your turn, if this thing's still on the board, you still have your tokens on the board, you can pay 3. Sack 1 of the tokens. Make 2 more tokens. Now you have 3. And yeah, you guys know math. At least I hope you do. And yeah, it goes on and so forth. Next. I have Diagraph Colossus. Costs 2 and a black, is a 2/2 zombie giant. I don't know too many giants that are only 2/2s, but anyway, Diagraph Colossus enters the battlefield with a +1/+1 counter on it for each zombie card in your graveyard, which sometimes is a lot, which sometimes is a little, but I like the second ability more than anything. Whenever you cast a zombie spell, create a 2/2 black zombie creature token. There you go. Pretty cut and dry what that does. Cast a zombie, it makes you a zombie. Pretty awesome card. Sucks that it comes in tapped, but I get it. I'll have to look into it. I probably should have before I made this video, if there are any tribal cards that are, because there's tribal cards for, I want to say giants. I know there's some for fairies. I know there's some for elves. If there's a tribal card for zombies, which I don't have any in this deck, or I wouldn't be asking this question, or making this statement, I should say, that would count too, because that would still be considered a zombie spell. Next, I have Undead Augur. Costs 2 black, is a 2/2 zombie wizard. Whenever Undead Augur or another zombie you control dies, you draw a card, you lose 1 life. This is a commander game we're talking about. That 1 life I'm not really concerned about, even if it happens maybe 2 times in a turn, depending on how many turns. You can only take 22s. That was a lot of numbers right there real quick. Almost bit my tongue. Glad I didn't. But awesome card nonetheless. Goes really good with my commander's ability. Sacrifice a token. I'd lose the life, but I still get to draw. And with my commander on the board, I get to draw 2 cards and get a zombie and a 2/2 zombie with Decayed out of it. So yeah, I like that for the pretty much for the card draw aspect. And here's one that I actually haven't had that long, and I've actually only gotten it. You know, that's the funny thing about Commander, it being a singleton format. Man, you can play a deck 10, 20 times and sometimes not see a card. Because I swear I played my best friend like earlier this week or last week, and that was the first time I ever got Undead War Chief on the battlefield, and it's been in this deck for maybe a month or 2. But it's like that, because I'm not taking it out of the deck, because this card is awesome. 2 and 2 blue, 1/1 zombie. Zombie spells you cast cost 1 less to cast. Who's going to argue with that? Also, zombie creatures you control get +2/+1. And realize, it says zombie creatures you control. This isn't like the old Lord of the Undead that said zombies you control, but then got eroded to other zombies you control. No, this is flat out zombie creatures you control. So, it's actually a 3/2. But, I'm not going to argue semantics here. So yeah, pretty cut and dry what that does. Makes your shit cost less, makes your shit stronger. Who's going to argue with that? Oh, speak of the devil. Oh, did I click it? Yep, there we go. Lord of the Undead. 2 and 2 black, 2/2 zombie, other zombie creatures get +1/+1. Granted, I'm aware that this works for your opponents too, but not really concerned about it because hopefully you don't have as many zombies as I do. Hopefully. Has a 1 in the black and tap it, return target zombie card from your graveyard to your hand. Now this was the card that I was talking about, that I've copied multiple times with that Cleaver Scab, and then use one of the token's abilities to get the original out of the graveyard and put it in my hand. I put it back on the battlefield again. And I want to say, that particular game that I did that, I had like 5 of these on the board, and it was amazing. And needless to say, that game, nobody else had any zombies but me. So that went alright, if I do say so myself. Next, one of those cards I feel like doesn't really need a lot of introduction. A lot of people know this card. A lot of combo potential with this. And it's Gravecrawler. Costs 1 black. It's a 2/1 zombie. Gravecrawler can't block. But you may cast Gravecrawler from your graveyard as long as you control a zombie, which damn near all the time, unless somebody casts a board wipe, you're going to. Yeah, like I said, can't block, but you can keep casting it from your graveyard. So yeah, you have those ETBs, or goes really good with the commander also, because I can sack it. Next turn, at the end of turn, draw a card, bring it back. Do it all over again. Rinse and recycle every single turn. Not even a big deal. And next, booyah. Sidisi, Undead Vizier, whatever. 3 costs 3 and 2 black. It's a 4/6 legendary creature zombie Naga. Has Death Touch. Excuse me. Has Death Touch and has Exploit. When this creature enters the battlefield, you may sacrifice a creature. When Sidisi Undead, I'm not going to try that again, exploits a creature, you may tutor. You may search your library for a card, put it in your hand, then shuffle your library. Awesome card. Great for sacking those tokens. And remember, it's an enter the battlefield ability. So when this is on the battlefield, when that trigger goes on the stack, so you can sacrifice the DC. So basically, it's a 5-drop tutor if he sacrifices himself, but he can also get resurrected, and you can use him multiple times. But we'll obviously get into those cards once we get into the further regions of the sorceries and instants and whatnot that are in this deck. Let's see next. we have Death Baron. 1 and 2 black, 2/2 zombie wizard. Skeletons you control and other zombies you control get +1/+1 to have death touch. I don't have any skeletons in this deck, but needless to say, I have plenty of zombies. It's a Lord effect, +1/+1, and the add for death touch. Yeah, it'll definitely make people want to stop coming after you. But I feel like Death Baron is one of those cards that becomes a target because people hate. Like, it's one thing swinging into a bunch of tokens, but it's another thing, obviously, swinging into a bunch of tokens that have death touch.